What's the counter to Dazzle? It's Axe, right? Well, not according to Secret. They're playing here in Game 3 of the ESL One Birmingham Grind Finals against Alliance, and they've actually last picked a Dazzle into an Axe. So what gives? That's what we're going to explore here in this video of Zai playing Offlane Dazzle.
Lessons that cannot be unlearned.
Welcome to the Church of Obelisk. So Zai on his Offlane Dazzle is going to fight over this rune together with Puppey. Oftentimes what you want to do as position 5 is just go to the offlane, help over the rune fight, and then just concede your runes on the other side. And this way they actually get a lot of damage here onto Necro baby. They also planted a ward here, and Zai very smartly here doesn't hit right now. He walks up past the trees here and then starts hitting. Because if you hit from like somewhere like here, the enemy know that you have vision here. They know that there's a ward somewhere here. So he very smartly doesn't give away his ward just to get in one extra last hit. If that hit were enough to give them first blood, obviously would probably give that away. But since it's not, it's very smart not to waste that ward position, because it's a very important ward, and having that ward here is great. It allows you to see couriers that are coming in. It allows you to see when the enemy is pulling. This is one of the most high value wards, but it's also a ward that's kind of obvious for dewarding, so you don't want to give your enemy any information about that this ward is there. So with Yapso having blocked the creep wave as Earthshaker, which is what you want to do as Earthshaker, obviously, the wave is in a favorable position for Zai, and even though he's had to actually use a self here and even a fairy fire to stay alive here, he's still getting solo XP and he's doing fine here. And now Earthshaker is coming in. Dazzle is level 2 against level 1 heroes on the enemy team, and with that fissure and that damage from poison touch, they are able to claim first bloods here. And that's a very potent combination. With Dazzle, you always want to have some sort of hero with you that can stun the enemy or slow them a lot, so that you can get extra hits in with the Poison Touch. And Poison Touch is one of the strongest staining abilities in the side lanes. And that's also a reason why I actually think that that side lane core Dazzle, as in Dazzle in the offlane here, is actually a bit stronger than playing him in the mid, which is something we've seen a bunch in the past. But in the side lanes, you can just make much better use of that Poison Touch and just have a more lane to play with before the enemy can just retreat to that tower. Whereas in the mid lane, if you Poison Touch someone, they can just go to the high ground, they can go to that tower, and then they're relatively safe. Zai used the courier once already to get an extra self, because he used his first self at the start, and now he's with that first blood gold, he's getting additional items, he's completing that wand, he's getting extra mana regen as well as a second Sage's Mask, so that he can have more mana regen in the lane, because Dazzle is a very mana hungry hero. And obviously those Sage's Masks are then going to go into Necro 1, and that's generally the item we're going to go for as Dazzle core. So they go on Necro baby here, force out his Doppelganger, which of course can dispel the Poison Touch, but Doppelganger level 1 has a very long cooldown, so they can just go on him again with that level 2 Poison Touch, which is going to be up right now. So they go for the fissure, block him in, use the Poison Touch, and now still in cooldowns, he actually has to TP out of there just to survive, and he still goes really low. He's down to about 100 HP and it's out of region, so he's going to have to wait for a courier, and now Dazzle is just firmly in control of this lane. So since Zai knows that there's no region here on that Phantom Lance, he can go in here very aggressively and contest this Grimstroke and just trade out region. He still has a self here, he still has a bunch of mana regen with that double Sage's Mask, and Necro baby is just getting so low. And in the meantime, Yapso, he is a couple of seconds ago disrupted a pull here and taken the creep wave here back, so now Dazzle is going to get all this experience, and Phantom Lance, because he has been so low for so long, has had to wait for that self to come out, is going to miss out on a ton of XP and just fall further behind in that lane. So why do you go for Necro Book on Dazzle as a core? Well, first of all, it's an excellent farming tool. Just in general, on any kind of hero, gives you a ton of regen in the lane, and then the Necro units have piercing damage, do a lot of damage to creeps, both lane creeps and jungle creeps, so you can farm very fast with that item, and you can do jungle camps fast, you can do lanes fast, you can split push. But of course on Dazzle, the extra thing you get out of that item is first of all the cooldown reduction from your ultimate. Necrobook obviously great with the cooldown reduction, just means you have very high uptime with level 1 ultimate, and as soon as you have level 2 ultimate you have a constant uptime of Necrobook. And then in addition to that, Dazzle of course also benefits from having additional units with poison touch, because these Necro units also renew poison touch duration. And then also you have 2 extra units for your Shadow Wave, so that you can both heal your Necro units as well as speed up your farm by doing extra damage to creep waves and to jungle camps. So Necro 1, very very strong item on Dazzle, and that's why you almost always see it as the first major item on core Dazzle. And if you're a lane where you don't need boots, you can just skip those boots at the start and just go for that very fast Necrobook, and you often get a timing of around 7 minutes if you didn't have to go for many items beforehand. And that's what we're going to see in this game. He almost has the level 1 Necro. Yapso kind of low, but he has Tranquil Boots. Still he wants to play around with FNG, maybe try to go for a kill here together with that Dazzle, but Hanskin is teleported in on his support Prophet, and they're going to get a kill on Yapso. Yapso trying to get for the kill here on Grimstrap, but it's not going to be successful. So he dies, but Dazzle is now level 6 and almost has his Necrobook. And of course, in the meantime, Matumbaman gets a kill here on Axe because he was left alone by the Prophet. So on the whole, that was actually a good exchange here for Secret. Hanskin still staying around here, and is going to get run down by Dazzle, and then it's going to be a nice little extra kill here. And now Necrobook is coming out, and he's going to want to just summon that right away just to speed up his farm. In the early game, this actually still a very strong fighting item. Later on, it's more of a farming item, but if you get it this early, it's an item that's not very easy for the enemy to actually fight into. And that Phantom Knights definitely has to respect your Necro units, because even though they do piercing damage, they do a lot of piercing damage, and it sort of adds up, even against heroes. And you can just see how fast these channel camps fall. That's just the incredible piercing damage power coming out of these Necro units. With the Yapsa coming back in, they can just go again here, find this Grimstroke, nice Fisher block here from Yapso, and that's a very easy kill. This wasn't even close. So you're just so strong at the start here with that Necrobook, with that early timing, and even find a Mango Tree here, so that's a nice little bonus. And after that, he's gonna want to go for Mana Boots. He's trying to play his way out of here with the Limb rotating from the mid lane, but it's not gonna happen. So they get this, the Zeus gets this kill, but he's going to be hunted down by those Necro units, trying to reapply the Poison Touch, but they're not quite finding the Zeus here. If they had gotten another attack in here, they might have even gotten that kill. But as it is, Dazzle falls, feeding his kill spree, but of course that's also rotation from mid, which gives additional space for Nisha, who's actually also being hunted down here. So this time rotation not working out too well here for Secret, and Lions get back into that game. But as you can see, just looking at the net worth, all 3 lanes are winning here for Secret. So the reason why Lions is rotating so much is just because they are desperate to get something done. If they just play this out statically, they're just going to lose on every front. So I just sort of have to make something happen here. And you can also see S4 being hunted down here. Was not an easy lane here with Axe against Ursa and Keep of the Light, and Matumbaman just playing that lane really well, and he's far ahead. He's very very far up in the net worth chart here. And then Dazzle is in second place, and since the enemy are fighting at the top lane, he's just going to push this tower. And since Necro units do piercing damage, they do very little against towers, but you can very easily clear those creep waves. So you're just gonna cut this wave and then just let the basic damage and the piercing damage from these creeps take down the tower, and then he's going to try to claim that last hit. And in the meantime, these piercing damage units can just do a channel camp here. They don't do that much against the tower, so might as well just use them to do what they're best at. And now you can bring them back in here and try to get that last hit, which is of course very important. Gives you a lot of gold here, and he does claim the last hit here. So from here, generally you want to stay in the off lane. You don't want to rotate too much as Dazzle. Of course, you want to have your TP ready if enemy are going onto one of your heroes, onto the tower for example. You can just always TP in there and provide some healing. You don't have Grave as core Dazzle. You want to skill it up very late usually. But now they're sort of overstaying the welcome a little bit with Necro Baby rotating in there. And was a bit too cocky here. He tries to go for the TP out, but he sees the Zeus approaching. So actually very smartly he cancels the TP because it would have been cancelled anyway. So instead of trying to get out himself, which wouldn't have worked, he instead distracts the enemy so that Yapso can escape. A very heads-up play. If he hadn't cancelled that TP, probably Yapso would have died anyway, and they would have both died there. So nicely played here from Zai. The second item that Zai went for in this game, the second major item, is Arcane Boots. And the reason for that is just that Dazzle is an extremely mana-hungry hero. Because his spells cost a reasonable amount of mana, you want to spam them out. They have very low cooldown with your bad juju. So you sort of need those Arcane Boots, because while your Necronomicon does offer you a good amount of mana regen, it also actually consumes most of that mana with the cast activation cost, because you can just cast this more often than usually. So you kind of need that Arcane Boots, which of course also benefits from your cooldown reduction. So if Necro 1 is so great on Dazzle, why not just go for the full Necro 3? Well, it's certainly something that you can do, but generally you're going to see Dazzles stay with Necro 1, because a lot of the value of that item just comes from having these extra 2 units. It's not really so much about the attack damage and so on that these units can do, and it's also just a matter of timing. In the early game, Necro is really strong for fighting. Later on, it's not that great on a hero like Dazzle that doesn't have a super high amount of synergy. Like, you're not a hero like Beastmaster or Lycan that has lots of synergy with that item. It's more just a early game fighting tool for Dazzle, yes, and then later on more of a farming and split pushing tool. And you just need to have those items that actually help you win team fights in the mid game. And one of the greatest such items is Mech. Mech is actually quite a bit less expensive than upgrading from Necro 1 to Necro 3, and just helps out so much more in a team fight. So that is generally what you want to go for. You want to go for that Guarding Greaves, of course, an item that is so much stronger with cooldown reduction. And then because you're going for this very expensive item that only takes up 1 slot eventually, you want to make good use of your slots here, of those empty slots. So he's buying items like Windlace, like a Quelling Blade. A Quelling Blade is primarily because he's playing against Nature's Prophet, so you can actually cut out of that sprout. But just using those slots with the small efficient items like Windlace. If he didn't have to buy the Quelling Blade, maybe he might have gone for Raindrops or some other small item like that. And Secret right now are going for a Smoke, and they actually get revealed right away, and they will run uphill, which is kind of risky, kind of a cocky play here. And Yapso lands a reasonable Echo Slam, but Axe now coming in, gets off a perfect call on 3 people with the Inkswell. So really well played there by S4 as well as by FNG with the Scrimstroke. So now, even though Alliance were very far behind in net worth, they get the perfect fight. And honestly, that was just Secret being a bit cocky there, just walking uphill without vision into this small area is just a move that you can't usually make. They were very far ahead, so they thought, you know, this is going to be fine, but it turns out it wasn't. Dazzle now TPing top here, defend that tower, and he gets a deny, very important. That's a huge gold swing, and now he has to get out. He gets Gunnarsson by S4's axe, and he almost dies, but thanks to the mech, he survived. Unfortunately, his Quelling Blade is in the backpack right now, but he still survives with Mato coming in. They find the kill on Nature's Prophet, but Dazzle also dies to the Zeus ult. But still, that is a favorable exchange. They get the 2-for-1 exchange here, as well as, of course, denying that tower, which is very important. And now it's straight into Roshan. They have this TA and Ursa lineup. Obviously, they're going to do Roshan extremely fast, with all that minus armor and all that physical damage coming out of these two heroes. So why would you pick Dazzle into an axe? Obviously, axe is considered a counter to Dazzle because his dunk goes through Shallow Grave. So Shallow Grave is going to be a much less potent tool here for saving people. But at the same time, there's a lot of aspects of Dazzle that also counter axe. So if you're laning against him, Dazzle's actually really strong laner against axe, because Shadow Wave is great against an axe who wants to stay in the creep waves, and at the same time Poison Touch, because axe is a melee hero, is not particularly mobile. You can often just Poison Touch him down. And then even later on, Shadow Wave is still a great ability against an axe. And Poison Touch is also quite annoying. The damage later on isn't that relevant, but it disables Blink Dagger, which is a problem for Axe. So, yes, you can't save people as much with Shallow Grave, but that's just one aspect of the hero. And especially if you're playing this core Dazzle, that's certainly not the most important aspect. As long as you stay in the backlines and don't get called by the Axe, you can still do a lot to save people. You can use that Shadow Wave to save people. You can use your Guardian Greaves, your other defensive items, your other aura items that you're going to have later on as Dazzle. And you see Dazzle also going for this Yule Scepter, which is great for saving people who've been called. And it also helps you out against the Phantom's Embrace, the silence from Grimstroke. So Yule Scepter, definitely a very strong item here in this particular game, and also of course an item that benefits a lot from cooldown reduction. If you don't have to go for an item like Yule Scepter, the probably third major item I'm going to go for after Necro 1 and Guardian Greaves is something like a Pipe. Pipe is a great aura item that benefits a lot from cooldown reduction, and even though this is a decently good Pipe game, Zai has recognized here that it's not so much about the teamfight and aura items, because they're going to win any sort of evenish teamfight anyway. It's more about just items to keep himself alive and to potentially also save his teammates, because as long as he stays alive, as long as he stays safe, his cores in the front line are also going to be safe, and that is just the more important aspect here. If he's this far ahead, the only chance that the Lions really have is bursting some people, and having an item like Yule's is going to help against that. And that's going to be his philosophy for itemization in this game. He's going to get a Ghost Scepter, he's going to get a Force Staff, all these sort of items that are active items that benefit from the cooldown reduction, and they're also items that help you keep alive and help your teammates keep alive. And Dazzle just also really just fits well into that team composition. They have these two heroes, TA and Ursa, who do a lot of physical damage, who are kind of frontliners, who need some protection, which Dazzle can provide. And also the armor reduction is great from Dazzle, because it of course stacks quite well with TA's armor reduction from Meld and from Deso. And of course synergies as well with all the physical damage that both TA and Ursa do. And I wouldn't go as far as to say that Dazzle counters Axe, that would be nonsense to say, but Dota is a lot more complicated in terms of drafting than just looking at core matchups. And yes, that's like maybe a slightly bad matchup in the mid and late game, but it just in terms of team composition fits in so well that they're even last picking this Dazzle. They didn't have overall last pick, but as like 9th pick they got this Dazzle. So now they're going high ground, and they've gotten a good initiation here on Axe. They kill the Axe, but they also use their Ignis Fetish for that, and now they're getting this tower for free, but Axe has buyback, and he buys back right now, so now it's no longer really a good fight because they used one of the big abilities. They're all kind of low, and Alliance are still fresh, so right now Ursa wants to get out here with the help of Dazzle's Yules. He gets to the low ground and survives all this, but now they're sort of still sticking around. Axe gets another excellent call off here, and this is no longer a good fight. Matu is sort of running in too deep here. They're a bit too overconfident here with that Aegis and Cheese and so on, but now that's gone and they still haven't won the fight, and in fact they're all dying. So this fight was just really well played by S4's Axe, as well as excellently played by FNG with his Grimstroke, and this combination of the Ink Swell plus the Axe Call is extremely potent, and it doesn't really matter how far ahead you are, it just means that you're going to die even faster to that Blademan Axe. So now with that botched high ground push, Secret are actually in a spot of trouble. Puppey is also going to die here, and they have no buybacks here. So Alliance potentially can take some objectives. Of course, Nature's Prophet, quite good at that. Phantom Dazzle not that much, just his illusions just don't do that much damage against buildings. But still they have this catapult wave here, and it's going to be a couple of seconds here before everyone respawns, but with a glyph they can defend here more or less, and also we see Dazzle picking up here a repair kit, repairing a tower, and Alliance wisely back off. Even though they won that fight previously, they're actually losing this one, and Hanskin tries to teleport out here, does a sprout here very smartly, trying to play his way out, but Yaps actually placed an observer ward here, so that's kind of a costly kill, and Hanskin is really doing an excellent job in this game, creating a lot of space with the split pushing and being very annoying and hard to kill. So it's pretty much S4 and Hanskin that are keeping Alliance in this game, but that's just economically things are not looking good for Alliance. Even though they've been playing these fights quite well, Secret are just simply out farming them and outscaling them. So whenever you have a little bit of downtime, Zai is just farming here. He's farming with his hero, using his poison touch. It actually goes quite quickly, even against Ancients, and then in the meanwhile his Necro units cleared out some tunnel camps. Now they're going to push this lane in. Alliance are desperately trying to prolong this game to give this Phantom Lancer more time to come online. So they have two heroes in the side lanes ready to split push, and Secret are very smart. They find this out. They actually find S4 hiding in the trees here, and S4 immediately pings the cliff. There's an ops ward here in the cliff, but actually there isn't. This is just Secret game sense. They know that these heroes are split pushing, so you have Hanskin now here in the side lanes hiding away, split pushing with his treants, but Secret are coming in. They're hunting for him, and actually even using the Will-O-Wisp to cut those trees, and they're going to get this Nature's Prophet eventually. But of course these two heroes don't have a lot of damage outputs, and now Zai comes in, and with these three heroes combined they're eventually going to get this Nature's Prophet killed, but it takes him a long time here, and you can see just how hard it is to kill this hero, because Hanskin is actually really farmed for a support Prophet. He almost as much farm as his mid laner. And all that split pushing is nice to try to delay the game, but the Phantom Lancer is not really finding as much farm during all of this as you would like him to. He's still behind both the main cores for Secret, and then after him everyone else in this team is just dirt poor. We see Limp just has had a horrible game. He's very underfarmed. Hanskin has had a reasonably good game here, but you don't really want your position 4 Nature's Prophet to be almost as farmed as your mid laner. And then S4, even though he's had some really good fights, he's very underfarmed, and yeah, FNG obviously as the position 5 is also underfarmed. So Alliance just losing the economic battle here. Roshan is a very late spawn, and you don't want to concede the third Roshan just like that. It's just, there's so many good items in that third Roshan that if you concede it without a fight, it's almost as bad as calling GG right there. So Alliance come out, they want to fight this somehow. They lose Limp, but they get Yapso, which at this point is not even that bad of a trade, considering their farm. And as Dazzle, of course, you just want to stay here on the outskirts of the fight. You don't want to be caught out. You have so many tools of saving people. You have that extra cast range from the talent that's going to allow you to just keep the rest of your team alive. You can see how far back he's playing. He's been pushing this wave out. He's using his Necro books to push out this wave, and meanwhile his team can just stay around the Roshan pit and force the enemy to come out and fight. And now Zai he's staying back. He doesn't want to get called. He doesn't want to get killed. As long as he stays alive, the rest of his team is also going to stay alive. So he's playing this very carefully here. They get the Aghanims onto Ursa, of course, making him that much stronger, giving him much shorter cooldown on that Enrage. And yeah, now it's just very difficult for Alliance to still stop this push. Prophet, TP's here, trying to do some split pushing, but it's not going to work. They also actually find Yapso with 2 heroes at the top, but that is not going to work out for them. I mean, they do get the kill here, but at the same time the enemy are going for these objectives here, even going for the tier 4s, forcing on the buyback from Hanskin. And now that the buyback is forced out, they go for this more modest objective. They get this mid lane of Rax, and now they're moving into the top. And as Zai, once again, you just stay on the back, on the outskirts here of the fight. You want to keep safe, and this way you can keep your team safe, and just have all these defensive items at the ready. Have spam out that Shadow Wave, spam out that Guiding Greaves. Just have so much sustain that the spam from Zeus and Grimstroke is not really much of a problem. So now they're kind of moving back. They got these 2 lanes, and Alliance are feeling desperate as 4 jumps forward, trying to get some sort of fight going, but it doesn't look good. He gets bursted down, and they're just trying to somehow salvage the situation, but Matumman is just too fat, and nothing is dying here on the Secret side. The only one who's dead here is the Earthshaker, but everything else just survives. And Nico Baby is now into these heroes here from Secret. 1 vs 3 is trying to desperately find some sort of kill, but in the meantime Matumman is clearing house here. He's just going to go for this Ancient, while Nico Baby, even though he's very farmed, he's strong, he's still not going to be able to find any kills here. Just as too many defensive abilities here on that Dazzle as well as on Puppey's Keeper of the Light. He can just always use his Blinding Light, his Glimmer Cape, his Yule Scepter, his Force Staff, and then all these saves from Dazzle. It's going to be enough to eventually kill that hero, and now they can just take the throne, and GG is called. So Secret take the series 3-0 in a complete sweep. Both 3 games, very dominant performance by Secret. If you like this video, share it with a friend, and if you haven't already, please join the fold by subscribing and hitting the bell button. And if you haven't seen us already, I've also covered the first 2 games in that series. Also very dominant performances by Secret. In the first game I covered Puppey's position 5 Enigma, and in the second game I covered Matu's Luna playing her more in a position 2 role with a position 1 Meepo in the mid lane. So go check those out, and all is willing, I'll see you next time.